Alright, I think I need to add my 2 cents on the topic of stop killing games, because this is quite frankly one of the best opportunities we've had in a long time to make a difference, and I feel like the person who started the initiative is fighting this battle alone, at least on the YouTube front. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, several months ago Ross Scott, also known as Accursed Farms on YouTube, published a video named The Largest Campaign Ever to Stop Publishers Destroying Games following the shutdown of Ubisoft's title The Crew on December 14, 2023. And shutting down probably isn't the most accurate way to describe the gravity of the situation, because Ubisoft's actions were more akin to theft. They removed it from people's libraries altogether. You can't play the campaign nor the multiplayer. The game is gone forever. As a long-time gamer and someone who remembers the times when you actually owned the entertainment software after buying it, I can't stress enough how grateful I am that someone has finally decided to take actions against anti-consumerism, which in the last 5 or 6 years has become blatantly criminal. When you buy a game like The Crew, which is a racing title, and let's be real, racing games don't necessarily have a huge lifespan when it comes to multiplayer, with a few exceptions of course, one should expect to at the very least be able to revisit the campaign one day, or maybe set up an occasional peer-to-peer server and have a throwback gaming night with buddies, even long after the official servers are dead. Well, guess what? Since the early 2010s, games have slowly but steadily been moving away from giving people the opportunity to have their own custom multiplayer experience by simply not including LAN, peer-to-peer, or by not letting them use tools to host dedicated servers. Live service has permeated through the industry and is becoming more popular by the day, thus confining players in games that are strictly monitored by the publisher or the developer team, and you're being left at the mercy of people who are tasked with the grueling job to tell the CEO of a said studio that costs for running the servers are closing in on the ever-decreasing amount of money made from skins and battle passes. And I wish this was the only negative about live service IPs, which is already sickening enough, but sadly it isn't. With the propagation of games as a service model, especially when it comes to huge multiplayer titles like the new Call of Duties, Valorant, Apex Legends, Overwatch, etc., or in other words games you don't own but probably spend money on, some of us quite a lot mind you, another issue which in all honesty is pretty scary appeared all of a sudden. People are getting banned for all sorts of reasons. If you take a look at Activision's security and enforcement policy, there's a wide array of stuff that can get your account permanently suspended, not only from multiplayer lobbies, but single player as well. Yes, you heard me right. Single player. Solely because you called somebody a silly billy. How is that allowed? At what point are you gonna wake up and stop giving those entitled power-tripping calls money? Hell, there were people banned from Apex Legends because they typed Andrew Tate in chat. Can you believe that? Badges, skins, stats, battle pass acquisitions, music packs, everything got removed because of a single fucking name. Please, wake up and understand who you are to those people. You are who they hate the most. The gamer who comes home after a long day and turns on the console or their PC to let off some steam and do what boys do best. They despise you because you're not a conformist little Timmy. But do you know who are the types of people they absolutely adore? The same people saying, oh, it's a live service game, of course you can shut it down, it must be really hard to pay for those servers with the billions of dollars you make. Please take more of my money and wipe your tears with it, oh beloved EA and Ubisoft. Might as well take the game I paid for off my library on your way out. And you're going to tell me this is right? How so? Why are games where you can play with buddies while using your own machine as a server overwhelmingly titles made well over 10 years ago? How come those games allow you to use mods, let you go a bit rowdy in chats, and overall have as much fun as you'd like, but new games keep you on a leash as if you're some sort of a menace to humanity, revoking your rights to play due to inappropriate username or an avatar, or just because you've decided to engage in a little bit of trash talk with your buddies or a random? I know why. And you won't be surprised to hear what I'm gonna say in the slightest. Huge gaming corporations and their branches want to nurture a specific player base, an agreeable, obedient generation of gamers who'd gladly eat up every shit they give them, put up with not owning games, and be happy. That's why. Because what's the point of them making a bunch of games, letting people own them, and risking their newest creation to have a smaller player count than their estimated target? Wouldn't it be better if they design a game that's online only, runs exclusively on servers they pay for, and is overall designed to become unplayable once the profits from sold copies or DLCs don't justify hosting expenses? Then they'll sell the next hyped up title and you will buy it like the dummy you are. From the creators of Titanfall and Apex Legends, Respawn and EA presents to you Apex Legends 2. You'd buy the battle passes, won't you? Every single one of them. It doesn't matter if they pull on Overwatch 2, or the fact that they removed Titanfall 1 from the stores, or the way they treated Titanfall 2 for over 2 years. That doesn't really matter because it's just a game, big deal. But you know what? I think it matters. I think you, as a customer, should have the dignity and the right to own a game like Titanfall 1 and not fear the day when you won't be able to play the campaign because there's no option for a private server. I want you to be able to play the Division even after support for the servers is discontinued because guess what? You possess a proof of purchase much like the one for the car you gave money for. Your toaster, your refrigerator, your whatever. You should expect to be able to use them the way you please, not as the people who sold them to you see fit. Not to mention that in a lot of cases, due to constant updates, the games you're currently playing look completely different from when they launched. There's no way to download earlier versions of those titles, and you're essentially playing a whole different thing than what you were used to a few years ago, whether it's gameplay mechanics or the overall look of the game. In semi-rare occasions, some companies even go as far as to replace the game you bought with a sequel, and that's just plain retarded in my opinion. Back in the day, games like Overwatch and Counter-Strike weren't free to play. You had to buy the game in order to launch it. And while I managed to rack up around 500 hours in CSGO, I never once gave Overwatch 1 a spin, which means that I will never be able to play the first game even if I got my hands on a second-hand physical copy from someone. We also saw very recently how Blu-rays of Stellar Blade got a mandatory update to patch content that got people living on Twitter and Reddit very upset, which is absolutely bonkers. Games as a service for the win, I guess. I reckon at this point during the video there will be people ready to hit me with concerns about private hosts taking away official servers player base, spreading it thin, thus preventing studios from reaching their revenue quota. Alright then, how do you explain Counter-Strike 1.6 hitting a record player count in 2007? 7 years after the release of the game. Mind you, Warcraft and zombie modes were at their peak in the 2000s. I personally used to play modded Counter-Strike and Counter-Strike Source on unofficial servers at the time, and as you can see, that didn't render the game dead. It actually had the exact opposite effect. Maybe there's a direct correlation between people pirating the game, which in turn increases its popularity by virtue of it spreading like a pandemic across the globe, prompting a lot of people with more disposable income to look for the authentic experience of the paid version. Or maybe my theory is too far-fetched. What about a game like Rust, which released in 2013? If we disregard the spikes and only observe the lows, this game has only become more popular among people even with the presence of private servers. Valheim, another game with a very healthy player base and a pretty decent 24-hour peak as well. Don't Starve Together. Minecraft. Do you want me to continue? Alright, on to your next supposed gotcha question. What about security? Well, let me play a short clip of an official Apex Legends tournament.
Like bullet here, on my ping. I knocked him there. Wait. Wait, what the fuck? I'm getting hacked, I'm getting hacked! But
I know, sure. Can you play the game?
bro, I'm getting hacked!
I know, but can you play? Can you play?
Yeah, but it's cheating! The fuck?
I know, sure. I know. What?
I'm cheating! I'm fucking shit, I got aimbot, I have aimbot!
Oh no.
You gotta leave the game, bro. You
Back
gotta
out,
leave
bro.
the game.
The door's blocked. Tick, break it.
Break it.
I have aimbot right now, I literally have aimbot.
Leave the game!
What if I just don't shoot?
As I thought, live service games are so much safer and there's essentially no way that people can cheat or hack an entire EA tournament, right? And look, as much as I dislike live service IPs and I wish that trend never really took off, the reality is that they're here to stay, and unlike the guy who immediately started panicking saying the initiative would kill off all of them, granted it passes as a law at some point in the future, I have a more realistic view on the whole topic. The European Union can't just ban the making of free-to-play live service games or even titles like WoW, where you basically purchase the game but you still have to pay a monthly fee to access it. First of all, enormous publishers like Blizzard and Activision won't give up without a fight. Everyone knows that very well. Secondly, the initiative doesn't have the goal to get rid of live service IPs as Pirate Software and his minions believe is the case. The goal is to have people own what they bought. Simple as that. This in turn means that we're pushing for a law requiring that moving forward, game makers design their software in a way that its advertised core features are to stay available after support for a set game has been cancelled. Ideally, that would mean single-player game modes don't require internet connection to be played, and there's also a backup plan after the official multiplayer servers are no more. 20-plus-year-old games have done it, so I don't see a reason why newer titles can't implement peer-to-peer or LAN. Will there be more work for developers? Yes, of course, nobody can deny that. And it's not easy. However, coding has never been easy. As most people probably know, you're solving problems all day. Programmers' entire existence revolves around making things work, breaking others, and debugging. That said, all these huge corporations could easily trim the fat by firing their DI departments and people going from desk to desk, asking overweight bearded developers with ponytails and worn out Dream Theater t-shirts if they'd like some yoga classes, and replace those useless positions with people who take care of actual pressing matters, like for example, how to make games worth your money again. I personally believe that would be a great start. But yeah, as I said, huge corporations would rather keep hold of those hacks and banish their core audience for online harassment and modding games, only to bring in yes women, soy boys, and everything in between because those people don't really mind being abused by Big Daddy Corpo. Shut down or caricaturize what made them famous only to sell it the next marketplace masked as a gay parade. So yeah, all of you guys opposing this initiative can take a deep breath and relax. Unfortunately, it's a bit too late for us detractors to kill the live service model, but I think there's still a chance to at the very least be able to move things forward regarding the preservation of future games when the petition reaches the minimum required signatures. So far, Nordic countries and Central Europe are at the helm of this initiative, which is great. Southern Europe and the Balkans are lagging behind a bit, but I'm positive they'll catch up at some point. After all, this benefits all players. It's all done in good faith, and I wish we didn't have to resort to governments fixing our mess, because at the end of the day, we let this happen. But sadly, reaching out to the European Parliament might be our only choice. A couple of things I'd like to add that I really want to see in the clauses of the frequently asked questions is severely limiting developers' interference when it comes to banning players. I believe the current rules are way too restrictive and should only apply to hackers in official multiplayer servers because a lot of those guys can actually ruin the game for everyone. I don't believe anyone should be banned from accessing the single player campaign and private lobbies. That's simply a display of tyranny, and whoever does that to players deserves to be discharged immediately and never be hired by a tech company for the rest of their lives. Silly words in chats, attention-seeking avatars and nicknames should not be valid reasons for banning people who gave their money to access a game. Period. After all, different players have different ways of expressing themselves, and that's a huge part of what made old games fun.
You just sound like you fucked your cousin and shove those dildos up your ass. Shut up, dude. Why don't you just fucking go home, reevaluate your life?
But I guess if modern developers don't know how to implement a feature allowing you to mute individual people in lobbies, they could refer to the ancient tablets of the previous console generations and, as young people like saying, educate themselves. The second thing I want to see disappear from the industry is mandatory updates, especially regarding single-player games. While I understand new content is an essential part of the player retention model, I believe updates ought to be voluntary and not mandatory. Aesthetics play an important role in deciding whether to buy a game or not, and if a bunch of bozos are able to turn a military shooter into a Cardi B concert, they should also be prepared to give my money back. I never signed up for this. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. The biggest problem we'll be facing when the conversations start taking place at the European Parliament is the prospect of applying the law retroactively. But if that means we can save some of our old gems, I think it's more than worth it. Anyway, I'm in full support of this initiative, and I advise you to not listen to people who want to take advantage of the current gaming climate, because this is a battle of interests. We, the players, are the ones affected the most, and we've been tolerating developers and publishers taking away our rights of ownership for far too long. Now is the time to fight back. So if you are an European citizen and you want to contribute directly to the cause, I'll leave a link to the petition in the description under the video. Signing it shouldn't take more than a minute, and I'd also like to point out that personal info will be handled solely by the EU in accordance with the European laws, so there's really nothing to worry about when it comes to providing your name and identification number. They already have them in their database anyway, so yeah. Before I sign off, I encourage everyone, no matter how many subscribers they have, to post on YouTube regarding this topic so that more people can learn about the initiative. Videos in different European languages may help quite a bit, since not everyone in the EU speaks or understands English very well. And on that note, I'm ending the video. Go and reclaim your right to own games, guys. I'm out.
The winner has crossed the finish line. After we think we're